And so I think I'm ready for our closer. And is it running? Let's see, there it is. Yep. Here we go. So all the way, this is a former SAFER, Michael Fitzpatrick, coming to us from Australia. And he's going to talk to us about using FME Cloud to survive a zombie apocalypse. So Michael tells me this is all very real and very serious. So take it away, Michael.
Thanks, Dale. Yes, today I want to talk to you about a scenario I looked at to test FME Cloud's credentials as an IPAS. So really what I wanted to look at was how well FME Cloud could integrate to different web services and also what value it could add. Up here you'll see I've got the word collaborate. So to utilize FME Cloud as an IPAS, it needed something to drive a lot of the processes on it. So I've used Redboot, which is a collaborative task management, web-based collaborative task management tool that we use in the office down in Australia. So as I go through the scenario, you'll see me create tasks and comments, and this will send email notifications to FME Cloud, and then FME Cloud will carry out some task based on what's being passed through to it. So they need to collaborate, integrate in order to survive. So the reason I chose this scenario is because I thought if we really want to put FME Cloud through its paces, we need to pick a scenario that's really going to test it. So this is a real quote from the CDC, which says, if you're prepared for a zombie apocalypse, so you're pretty much prepared for anything. So I think it's fair to say if FME Cloud can help us survive a zombie apocalypse, then we've proved its worth. We now have a business case to go ahead and purchase an FME Cloud instance. So story starts here. Meet Sean. He's a media analyst in New York City, and he works for this group called Integrated Emergency Services. This group is made up of different representatives from emergency services, so police, fire, ambulance, military, even public relations. So they use Redboot to collaborate in real time for emergency situations, but they're very fortunate because their instance of Redboot is supercharged by using FME Cloud as an IPAS in the background. So on a dreary, wet Monday, much like the weather today, Sean is tasked with monitoring the public reaction to the death of Senator John Walling. So Sean comes in here to Redboot, and he has this task here, and he says at FME Cloud, so he's going to notify FME Cloud. Use this emoji, magnifying glass, to say he wants to do a search, and he pops in his keywords there, which would be Walling dead. He then creates his comment. This notifies FME Cloud, and FME Cloud will then write a comment back into Redboot and produce this report for him. So what actually happened there was, once he notified FME Cloud took the keyword and then hit Twitter and looked for geotagged, using the keyword to get geotagged comments and then geotagged tweets, and then took that data, wrote it into Google Maps engine, and also populated a HTML template that's in the workspace that it then wrote up to Amazon S3 bucket, and that HTML template had a reference to Google Maps engine. So you can start to see how we're able to integrate all these different web services and produce this report here. So Sean made an error when he was typing in Walling dead. He made a typo and instead typed in Walking Dead. So now this is real Twitter data. We can see that there's all these instances of people talking about Walking Dead in the eastern United States. And Sean has no idea why people would be talking about this, apart from the only logical one is that there's zombies outbreak after occurring. So Sean needs to go and further validate this. So they've got different workspaces on FME Cloud for different types of emergency situations. One of them happens to be for the potential zombie outbreak, and they've got this nice custom transformer called Zombie Signs where they can search for keywords like looting, biting, rabies, viruses. So he runs this, finds out, yes, it looks like a zombie outbreak, comes back into Redboot, and again notifies the FME Cloud user. I don't think you can see it up there, but also use this keyword again, emoji, to say it's a warning, so to tell it to go and put it in the emergency services section of Redboot. So he writes potential zombie outbreak, writes its comment, FME Cloud takes that, is able to parse it out, and then in Red Boot, FME Cloud goes ahead and automatically creates this comment there. Okay, so Sean's finished his work for the day. He's left that to emergency services to investigate the zombie outbreak, and while he's on his way home, the emergency services are inundated with calls. So these calls come in, FME Cloud loads them into PostGIS so we can record the emergency service situation. It also then writes it up to Google Maps engine, and using FME Cloud, it's able to do some manipulation on the data and make it a bit more user-friendly to read. It's also able to identify hotspots of potential activity. So now that they've got their hotspots, it's time to send out an inspector. And this inspector, he's a grumpy guy. He doesn't like Red Boot. He doesn't believe in zombies. And if there's one thing he hates more than zombies and Red Boot, it's FME Cloud. So he's really annoyed that he's been sent out in this wild goose chase. And when he goes out on the scene, this is what he runs into. He finds that the entire place is crawling with zombies. So lucky for him, he can go back to using FME Cloud, and he goes into Red Boot on his phone, creates a task, says, oh my God, there's a stage 2 zombie outbreak. He doesn't know protocol, he doesn't know who he's supposed to email, so he just hands off the task to FME Cloud and says, here, FME Cloud, I don't know what to do, you figure it out. Now, fortunately for him, FME Cloud has the playbook worked out, so it's able to then know who it's supposed to notify, so it can notify the different emergency services. It also creates in these tasks for them, it knows what a stage 2 zombie outbreak is, so it can then populate with the characteristics and get this information to the right people quickly. Also includes suggested responses. So that's fine. Now that we have a confirmed zombie outbreak, we need to be monitoring the situation as it develops, so FME Cloud and scheduled tasks can be going ahead and writing the data out into PostGIS, and then we can also query that data in PostGIS, and I should say PostGIS is also sitting up in the cloud as well. We can query that data in PostGIS and then start to create this web map that we'll have sitting on Amazon S3 bucket and be updating. So you see there we've got some zombie outbreak. As we move forward in time, you can see it's starting to get zombies down in lower Manhattan, and then if we look over an extended period of time, we can see there's a pretty serious amount of zombie occurrences. So it's actually now just moved to a class 3 zombie outbreak. So because we know what a stage 2 is and a stage 3 is, we can track that data and see once we reach certain thresholds, and then we can update this public page to keep the public informed. This just shows how it's all interacting. I'm not sure if it's that clear there, but it's basically in Red Boot creating these task comments, notifying this FME Cloud user. So none of this automatically creating tasks can occur in Red Boot, so it's all FME Cloud automating this and creating a much more efficient product and suited to their needs. So anyway, Sean decides that it's time to evacuate. He knows that a stage 3 zombie outbreak is very serious and it's very difficult to pull it back. He's especially worried when he sees politicians on the media, on the news, talking about things like controlled and purity zones and also about take ordinary precautions, so he knows it's time to move. Before he moves, he wants to figure out how much time he has, what direction zombies are going in. So he can use FME Cloud to do this query, so he knows certain things that zombies will move slow over rough terrain, so things like national parks will slow them down, rivers, lakes are going to act as impediments, and roads are going to move fast on. It also tend to move towards populated areas. At least that's what we currently know about zombies. So he's able to create this predicted outbreak pattern. You can see populated areas and starts to extend across and further, and then in not too long time, a large portion of the eastern United States is overrun with zombies. So you know it's time he has to get a move on. But you don't just get out and run away from an outbreak. You have to have certain things like food, water. So he's got to go and find himself a convenience store to get this. So he's going to use the query function that's been built into Red Boot to run a query, and this query is going to go and grab some web data that has you can get it, which has convenience stores in New York, and then he's going to use the data he already has from the zombie outbreak to find the closest safe convenience store. This is just him again notifying FME Cloud using this question emoji to say find convenience store, exclude zombies. So it's to run the query, and it should come back with the result here. So FME Cloud's written in the link there. Sean's already on the move, so he has this mobile device that he can just he can then open this file on it. So this file actually wrote a KML file up into Amazon S3. So now he can get this on his device while he's on the go, and he can see he's got about 12 blocks before he gets to a convenience store. That's fine, but the next thing he needs to do is he needs to get out of New York City. So he needs to get him, he doesn't want to take the public transport because obviously you've got a lot of people in a confined area, so it's just a breeding ground for zombies. So instead he wants to use, get a ride share, and again, luckily enough, he can run a ride share query within Redboot. So he comes in here and does the same thing. He's in the query section, so he goes FME Cloud, question, and says, I need a lift to JFK International, and pops in his coordinates. And FME Cloud's going to geocode JFK International, take the coordinates from that, then hit this carpool API, take the results, and then write it back in as a comment here. And he's got a list of different ride options available to him. So where to go? So it's no point just leaving New York. He has to find somewhere that's the most optimal place to go. So certain things like adult inactivity rates, vaccination rates, temperature, even proximity from the outbreak can all influence what's the best place to go to. So he uses Redboot to run this query, and he can hit data like from World Bank, World Health Organization that's sitting out there in like Excel files. And lo and behold, at the top of the list is Australia, probably because it's a big landmass, largely unpopulated with extreme temperatures, or it could be that our office is in Australia, and we might have tweaked the weighting to make it work like that. Sean's also a very sociable guy, so when he gets to Australia, he doesn't want to be alone. So having worked on a previous NSA project, he has access to our Salesforce account and is able to go in and see different software products in Australia. And of course, he's going to be looking for some of our FME customers down there to hang out with. So there he is, he's heading for Australia. And the first thing he's going to do is get himself a pint of Foster's. As everybody knows, Australian people drink Foster's, although I've never seen Foster's in Australia. So leaving New York's never easy, and he's got to find a route to his new home. So look, Sean's able to use Google Maps engine here that he's populated with the zombie instances, the zombie outbreak occurrences. And the good thing with Google Maps engine is that it comes with turn-by-turn navigation built in, so he's able to route his way to catch his lift, make it to the airport, fly to Australia, find himself a nice hill with just a lot of kangaroos to keep him company. And so congratulations, Sean. He survived the zombie outbreak, and with that, he helped prove that FME Cloud works very well at integrating a number of different web services. So in this scenario here, we integrated things like Redboot, PostGIS, Salesforce, Google Maps Engine, Amazon S3, Google Spreadsheets, so lots and lots of different web services, and also added a lot of value. So we added, within Redboot there, we added a lot of functionality, power, and a lot of automation, so I think it performed really well. And Sean's got mixed emotions because he's an early adopter of FME Cloud, so he's the only one that actually survived. But that's it. We saved your life, so keep in touch. Thank you.